Hey, this is Ryan from Sleeping at Last. Welcome to the Sleeping at Last podcast. Thank you so much for pressing play. In this episode, I am so excited to get to introduce you to a brand new song of mine called Hurt. It belongs to my Atlas 3 series of songs, and I cannot wait to share it with you as well as everything that went into it. And before we dive in, I wanted to mention a couple of other new releases of mine that came out since the last episode of this podcast. The first one belongs to my Adam series of songs, which are small pieces of music inspired by small beauty that I notice throughout my day. I film whatever it is that catches my eye, and then I write a tiny score for it. And so I may have mentioned in the past, but the first 15 atoms are out in the world now, and like real atoms, they assemble into a molecule. So those first 15 pieces of music were released as an album called Molecule 1. This new song is called Atom 16, and it marks the beginning of Molecule 2, which will eventually accumulate into another album coming out. But currently you can hear Atom 16 everywhere music is. I also released a new version of my Atlas 3 song, Bloom Eros. This is a gorgeous new string version featuring the absolutely stunning performances by Sharon Gerber and Anya Katerina Gerber. And here's a clip of that.
I will wait patiently, take all of the time you need. I'll be here when you're ready. When the rain won't let up, I'll try to be strong enough to build a sanctuary.
This new string version was released as part of Atlas Survive, and I'm sure you're wondering, what in the world is that? Which is a very fair question. At the risk of getting wildly into the weeds over explaining everything, I did want to share a little bit about this. So Atlas Survive contains the first 3 songs of Atlas 3, which are Awake, Asleep, and Bloom Eros, and it contains acoustic versions of each of those songs as well as instrumentals. Assembling all of this together is not only a nice way to just put all of the songs and their bonus versions together, but it represents the very first theme within Atlas 3, which is Survive. As I've mentioned before, the overarching theme of Atlas 3 is voluntary human development. So it is what we do with all that we have. Loosely based on the theory of spiral dynamics, each theme throughout Atlas 3 will be sequenced in the order of human development. So in this first theme, Survive, the songs Awake and Asleep represent the start of consciousness and our basic human need for rest. Bloom Eros is inspired by the Greek idea of love, eros, and represents the start of romantic and instinctual love. And in the language of spiral dynamics, this level or stage of development would be called beige, which you can see reflected in the artwork that Alicia Edijanto brilliantly painted for each of these songs using the color beige. So each of the upcoming themes in Atlas 3 will contain 3 songs each, 2 partnered songs or sibling songs, if you like, for example, Awake and Asleep. They're kind of 2 sides of the same coin, and then a love song inspired by one of the Greek definitions of love. And I get it, it is a lot to keep track of, but as the project continues, I think the patterns and the themes will make a heck of a lot more sense. The song I am sharing and talking to you about today is called Hurt, and it is the beginning of the next theme in Atlas 3, which in the language of spiral dynamics would be the purple level of development. Perhaps in an episode in the future, we'll talk a little bit more about spiral dynamics, what it is. Maybe we'll even talk to an expert. For now, I am just using this idea as a way to order and sequence all of these developmental ideas. And so really, these are songs about my own personal development, and I'm kind of using the compass of spiral dynamics to understand myself a little bit more, and so that's really what these songs are. All right, let's get into the song. I'm so excited to share this with you, and I really hope you enjoy it, which is funny to say about a song called Hurt, but I do hope that you enjoy Hurt.
sci-fi storyline and pull a single thread without fear of consequence. I wanna raise the dead. I wanna live. I wanna live oblivious to pain. I wanna feel unfazed, unchanged by change. I want flowers to bloom without rain, without rain. I know better than to believe that I could bend the rules, but God, I wanna try to tip the hourglass on its side. Remember when we were young, afraid but brave enough to swim away. Imagination's big enough to dream a better life. I'm burdened by bloodlines. I wanna change the tide. I wanna live. I wanna live to the other side of pain. I wanna give into the mercy of change. I want flowers to bloom after rain. I wanna swim. I wanna swim to the other side of pain. I wanna give into the mercy of change. I want flowers to bloom after rain. I wanna swim. I wanna swim to the other side of pain. I wanna give in to the mercy, the mystery of change. I want flowers to bloom after the rain. I want flowers to bloom.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever not be nervous sharing new music with anyone. I think that's going to be a lifelong affliction for me. But I hope you really enjoyed the song. At the same time of my nerves, I feel so excited to get to pull the wraps off of this. So this song has traveled a bit of a windy road to actually being released into the wild. I wrote the first seed of it nearly 3 years ago now, and it was actually the opening lines exactly as you hear them here.
I already miss what I have. I think about that a lot. 2 funerals in my head.
And then I got like super stuck, like completely stuck. Those opening lyrics and chords came together so quickly, and I loved how it sounded and felt. And then I just total brick wall. And I liked that little section of music so much that I would just play it over and over and over. And I felt like nothing could follow it. Nothing made any sense. And so I would play it again and again and again. And my poor family. Lyrically, it kind of felt like I was putting my finger on something that I've been trying to name for a while. And I think it's grief, but before loss. And I wrote these words even before losing my mom in 2022. In fact, I wrote this many months before our family even learned that my mom was sick. And I'm actually now pretty thankful that this song got stuck on that verse, because something in these lyrics helped a bit in my grieving process after losing her. And it felt a little bit soothing to play. And so then for a while, I believed that this song was supposed to be part of my Mother collection of songs and me working my way through grief. And even then, as I sat down to write the rest of it, I just got completely stuck. Fast forward a little bit later, and an opportunity came along to write a song for a film. And after wrapping my head around the story of the film, I immediately thought of this verse, and I knew suddenly where the rest of the song needed to go thematically and everything. But like any pitch for anything, I've learned to make sure that whether or not the song gets used in the film, uh, I want to make sure that the song still means as much to me personally as it would if I was just writing any song of mine. So I began to write, finally struggling my way through the blockage and realized this song is actually meant to belong to Atlas 3. And I can do both. I can write it for the film and also include it in Atlas 3. And so I continued on and I finished it finally. And this was actually in London. My family and I moved to London at the end of last year in 2023. And we've been here for almost a year now. And so this was kind of marking the beginning of our time in London. And finally, the song was finished. And so I named it Two Funerals. And then something about that didn't totally make sense with any of my Atlas themes. And then I landed on the title Swim. But again, that only made sense for the film and not for Atlas. And so I changed it a third and final time to Hurt. So after finishing the song and sending it along to the filmmakers, I got the wonderful news that the song was being highly considered and was placed in an edit of the film. And so I was, needless to say, so excited. Fast forward a few more months, and then it's confirmed in the film, and I'm just so pumped. Got the green light, which is what you wait for with this kind of thing. But still, I've been doing this long enough to know that to never get my hopes too high. Because it's rare when things work. And by saying that right now, I'm certain that you already kind of know where this story is going. But so just a few weeks before the film releases, and at that point, I'm feeling pretty confident that it's in it because it's been confirmed several times through publishers, through the filmmakers, through kind of everyone. But I get a phone call from the producer, and then I get a phone call from the director who breaks the news to me that there was some kind of last minute changes made by the studio, and unfortunately my song is no longer in the film. And let me back up by saying I am not even complaining. I am so extraordinarily lucky to ever have my songs considered for any film or TV project. And even though I've been incredibly lucky that my music has been a part of a lot of wonderful film and TV projects, there is a long history of things falling through. So this is by no means an anomaly. It is definitely the most common thing in the world, and it's actually very rare when things actually work. And normally I don't choose to share these disappointment stories because what a bummer. I just focus on forward motion. But in this particular song called Hurt, mind you, I thought it would be appropriate to share a bit of the story behind the song and to just be honest about like disappointments like that, which are all over the place. So 3 titles later, 3 projects later, and a lot of life later, this song is here, and I'm really, really grateful. As I mentioned, this song came together in its final form here in London, and it's actually the first song I ever got to record at the legendary Abbey Road Studios. I've since recorded a bunch of new music there that you will soon hear, but this song was my very first experience at Abbey Road, and it was so magical. I recorded in Studio 3 with the wonderful engineer Gordon Davidson, and just had the most fun ever. I hadn't recorded in like a proper studio setting in a long while. Normally I'm working on a small portable setup, laptop and all, or I'm working at my personal studio in Illinois. And being at a place so well run and just amazing folks who deeply care about their work and the studio was just a total joy. So I recorded Hurt's vocals and piano live. So everything you hear was played in Studio 3 over at Abbey Road. So Hurt and its sibling song Heal, which will release really soon here, I like to think of them as a diptych of sorts, representing one side is the past and the other is the future. Hurt is about trying to make sense of the past. It's about irrationally wanting to go back in time and fix it so as to no longer experience any sort of suffering. But eventually it becomes reasonable and is a song about acceptance, which makes way for healing. In Heal, I'm trying to look ahead to a future where healing and hope are possible. And we'll, of course, discuss that at length on the next episode. In the lyrics of the song, I really wanted to play up the absurdity. So that opening line, I already miss what I have. I think about that a lot, 2 funerals in my head. It sets up a very real and sad thing that I do, which is experience sadness about something that hasn't happened, hurt that hasn't happened. So it really is a pre-grieving loss, and I get a bit lost in that kind of thinking. But when I stand back and look at it, to miss what I already have feels a bit absurd, and it actually feels like the opposite of the way that I should be thinking, which is just full of gratitude. And so I realized that being hurt drives those sort of irrational wants, and I just kind of let myself fully go there. And that's what I chose to write, was what else do I want? After the loss of my mom, I wanted to go back in time, and I wanted to make whatever changes possible to keep her alive. I want to experience no hurt. I want to be oblivious to pain. And I want all of the good things to just come without any of the cost. And so that is what inspired this lyric in the chorus.
I wanna live oblivious to pain. I wanna feel unfazed and changed by change. I want flowers to bloom without rain. Without rain.
After that first chorus, the thinking changes a little bit, and the next lyric is, I know better than to believe that I could bend the rules. And this is sort of the beginning of a shift in the song, where it goes from this more like desperate, absurd, like I refuse to accept that this is how things are, and moving to this kind of beautiful futility and acceptance. And I talked a bit about acceptance before on the podcast, and it's a word that I have a struggling relationship with, because I recognize that it is literally the answer to most things that are hard, and for some reason it just trips me up. Like it feels like the saddest answer to so many things, even though it really is the most beautiful and most helpful thing. And so my therapist has worked with me for a couple of years now in just recognizing that actually acceptance isn't this destination or this state of being. It is the attempt to aim at it. It is literally the try and try and try again mentality towards acceptance. And the next lyrics are, remember when we were young, afraid but brave enough to swim away, imaginations big enough to dream a better life, unburdened by bloodlines. These words are me in a more rational headspace, remembering that as children, those irrational thoughts like going back in time or wishing to never experience pain were actually pure and good hopes, and were related to this beautiful imagination that really only children are capable of. And so these lyrics are me kind of reckoning the irrational with the rational. The second half of the song is really all about reframing the hurt that I sing about in the first half of the song. So rather than chorus 1, where I sing, I want to live oblivious to pain, in chorus 2, I sing, I want to live into the other side of pain. In chorus 1, I sing, I want to feel unfazed, unchanged by change. But in chorus 2, I sing, I want to give in to the mercy of change. In bridge 1, I sing, I want flowers to bloom without rain. And then later I sing, I want flowers to bloom after the rain. So there's a shift from thinking I want to go back into the past and be immune to anything hard that happens, to belief or hope in the future, seeing the good beyond the hurt. Another way to say it would be that there's the shift from avoidance to acceptance in the song, which will absolutely be my entire life's work. And that's really this song in a nutshell. It's my attempt to shift from avoidance to acceptance. It's about grief and ache, and it's an examination of my mind after the loss of my mom. It's me trying to hold space for my irrational desire to change the past and get rid of any and all pain or hurt or fear in my life. And it's also about making space to grow and hopefully eventually to heal. And one more thing I wanted to share about the lyrics is the obvious tie into the song that came before this one, Bloom Eros. Obviously, I say the word bloom several times throughout, and I really like the idea of continuing the imagery of a garden in this song, not only because it nods to bloom, but because it felt like the exact right and simple way to tell a story about hurt. I think you can learn a whole lot about life by observing a garden. In order for beauty to exist, there is rain and dirt and struggle, and all of that could feel like hurt. And the results are flowers, brief, incredibly delicate sparks of color. And all of that beauty is only made possible by the hurtful events that came before it. In other, far clearer, simpler words, Thich Nhat Hanh says it perfectly: no mud, no flower. I had the total honor of working with Paul von Mertens on all of the flutes and clarinets that you hear throughout Hurt. Paul is absolutely amazing and can be heard actually on several of my other songs, including Overture 3, Awake, and Asleep, as well as Clockwork and a few other songs of mine. It is such a joy to get to work with him. I consider myself very lucky. Here's a bit of his flute and clarinet work in this song. So good. And strings. If you've listened to any of my music or any of these podcast episodes over the years, you are likely familiar with the names Sharon Gerber and Anya Katerina Gerber. They are my longtime collaborators, and I will gladly be a broken record to say just how absolutely incredible they are. All of the cellos and violins that you hear in Hurt were performed and recorded by this wonderful mother-daughter duo. Just the very best. It is such a gift to get to make music with them. So here is a bit of their strings in this song. As I mentioned earlier, this song has had quite the journey becoming what you now hear. One little Easter egg I included, which can barely be heard throughout, is actually the earliest little germ or seed of this song. I was messing around with overdubbing my voice over and over into this weird little choir, which I kind of liked, and I thought maybe it would become an atom or something else of mine. But then I started playing piano right after this little intro, and which is what you're about to hear. In this voice memo form. And it's the very first time I play the chords of Hurt and sang the first lyric, I already miss what I have. And so this is hidden, a little clip of this is hidden throughout the song. But this is the voice memo of where this song first began.
I already miss what I have. I already miss what I have. I wanna bathe in my blood. I wanna bathe when you said I already miss what I have.
I almost edited that clip down so you don't hear the gibberish lyrics after I sing I already miss what I have. But what I thought was interesting about this is it's a rare moment where there's a voice memo of me actually like figuring out the part. Usually I'm figuring it out and then I press record and then I'm just kind of capturing each idea as it comes together. But this one, you can hear me kind of stop and then repeat the part that I thought was interesting. And then I stopped playing the piano just to capture that lyric because both things came at this exact moment in the clip. The piano chords and the lyric, which is just rare for me. Normally that stuff is very separated and it takes one incremental progression at a time to become what I actually like. But in this little moment, you can hear the seed of how these chords and how that lyric came together.
I wanna be when you said I already miss what I have.
And specifically, the Easter egg is of the little choir part that starts out that voice memo. So that choir part is hidden 2 times throughout Hurt. I am so grateful to get to share this song with you and to tell you all that went into it. It means a lot. The song has been living in my mind in one form or another for the last few years, and it feels really special to have it finally out into the world and to get to share and talk about it. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much for listening. Hurt is available everywhere music is now, and I'm really excited to get to say that. And then the follow-up song, the sibling song, which is called Heal, will be coming out very, very soon, and will be the focal point of the next episode of this podcast. And I am so excited to get to share that kind of second half to this story. But thank you for listening. I am so honored to get to share about this song. It means the world to me. Also, huge thanks to John Goodmanson for mixing Hurt and to Chicago Mastering for mastering the song. I feel so grateful to get to build Atlas with friends and with people that do such beautiful work. Oh, and I wanted to mention, because I don't think I've actually said this in the podcast, and it's hard for me to even believe that these words are coming out of my mouth, but I am playing shows. And I have actually so enjoyed getting back and playing live again. And one of the shows that I wanted to highlight is in New York City at Carnegie Hall on October 24th. I get to play a full orchestra show at this legendary venue alongside the incredible talent of the Chicago Philharmonic. And I am so looking forward to it. It's going to be amazing. So this fall, I hope to see you. Tickets are available on my website and at Carnegie Hall's website as well. But yeah, more news on upcoming performances as well. That'll be a new part of this podcast where I actually get to tell you times I'm playing shows, which has not been part of my vocabulary for the last many, many years. I hope the rest of your day is wonderful. I cannot thank you enough for listening. It means the world to me to get to share all of this with you. And I so look forward to doing it again on the next episode, all about Heal. In the meantime, now that you know a bit about how Hurt was written, let's go ahead and listen to Hurt one more time in its entirety, and then I will end the episode after that. All right, so much love to you.
I already miss what I have. I think about that a lot. 2 funerals in my head. I wanna go back in time, like some sci-fi storyline, and pull a single thread without fear consequence. Without rain, without rain, I know better than to believe that I could bend the rules, but God, I wanna try to tip the hourglass on its side. Remember when we were young, afraid but brave enough to swim away. Imagination's big enough to dream a better life. I'm burdened by bloodlines. I wanna change the tide. I wanna live after the